Welcome back. Right now we are focusing on an incredible new book called The Locker Room. This focuses on teams, how they heal one another, how they come together during times of adversity, they challenge each other, and what we can learn from those lessons. I have the two authors of this great book, Damon West and Stephen Mackey, joining us today via Zoom. Very much looking forward to speaking with both of them about this book. Damon, let's start with you. Tell me more about what made you decide to write this book.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us on this morning. We're delighted to be here. Anytime Stephen and I can get together to talk about this book, we look forward to it. And actually, you know what? I'm going to defer to Stephen for the answer to this question, because Stephen was the catalyst for this whole thing. Stephen, why don't you tell her how this started?
You bet, Damon. So, Damon and I both have a front row seat to what we call the miracle of the locker room. We work with teams across the country, from the Big 12 to the SEC and high school campuses coast to coast. And as we have worked with these teams, we've seen the miracle of a locker room where people from all different backgrounds, with different hurts and histories and hangups, they all come together for a common goal, where their diversity is not something they have to overcome, but in fact, it's their very strength to overcome the adversities that are in front of them. And so as we saw this miracle take place in countless locker rooms, we said, you know what? If America had a locker room, she wouldn't face many of the problems that we face today. And we love our country. We think the only thing greater than America is her potential. And so we wanted to do our best to help America reach that potential.
And I'd love to hear more about each of you and your sports experience and how that really helped you understand how much teams can heal adversity and overcome so much.
Yeah, I grew up in a very sports-filled home. We're both from Texas, and there's rumors that Texas is really big on their sports, especially things like high school football. And actually, the rumors are true. It's like a religion down here. Everybody's real serious about their football. So we both grew up playing Texas high school football. But we both saw how sports could break down barriers. Sports, on the Friday nights in the South, you'll see people in the stands of a football game. They're hugging each other, they're high-five, they're backslapping each other. They're enjoying each other in a way that you don't see the other 6 days of the week, not even in church, because in a lot of places in church, people self-segregate. We saw the power of sports, and we understood that sports has the ability to cross every barrier, to break every barrier, cross every line. And so we thought sports would be a great medium for it because of our own experiences growing up playing sports in Texas.
And Stephen, what about you? Tell me more about your background and some of your experiences and how those lessons have made their way into this book.
It's great. I love being an athlete and I love competing. And Damon and I both being athletes, we won't talk about who is the better athlete. But the thing that comes really from sports for me that draws me to it again and again, even in my life's work, is that in athletics, we learn these long shelf life skill sets, these lessons that don't expire once you stop playing the game. Things like discipline and hard work and excellence and integrity, being a great teammate. Those skill sets, they don't stop once you stop playing the game. Those skill sets last for the rest of your life. And that's why this book is not just for athletes, but it's for anyone. Because you see, what we've noticed in great locker rooms, well, it's the same thing that we've noticed in great businesses, organizations that we've worked with. And it's that they make certain commitments. And we line out several commitments in the book, and I'll share just a couple with you. The first commitment that great teams make, and the reason this book is for everybody, is because great teams commit to a goal that is bigger than themselves. That they commit to a common goal that is bigger than me, myself, and I. The second commitment that they make is that making a mistake doesn't make you a mistake. But when you fall down, I'm not going to pounce on you and beat you up for getting it wrong. We're all human. So instead, I'm going to lift you up and pick you up and help you get forward. And the third commitment that teams make on the field and off, great teams, is they commit to say that my success is your success and your success is mine. And when we make those commitments, then it doesn't matter what obstacles are in front of us, we can overcome it. I learned that first in sports, and now I see it all across areas of life.
Damon, I understand that this book really focuses on not only teams and those lessons you can learn, as we've already mentioned, but also on how we can get along with one another, which is such an important concept, especially right now when we feel very divided with each other. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I think one of the main themes of the book is about communication, because communication is key. And in order for communication to happen, both sides need to feel like they've been heard. And right now, I think we feel like in America that, a lot of people don't feel like they've been heard. And until we feel like we've been heard, you see what happens is kind of like what Stephen's talking about, the dynamic of being in sports. When you feel like you've been heard, now you feel like you're part of a team. When you feel like you're part of a team, you'll do things that teammates do for other teammates. You'll sacrifice, you'll work harder, you'll give it your best because you feel like you're a part of something greater than you. And that's where communication comes in. And the book deals with communicating through any difficult topic. And I think the two things that you're going to need that are in this book to really communicate are humility and grace. And humility is required from one side in a conversation to hear tough truths, things that you may not know to be true, but the other side feels that way, and you need to hear and listen to what the other side is saying. And grace is so important because grace is hard because it always costs the person giving it more than it costs the person who receives it. And grace is something that you don't necessarily deserve. Like justice is something where you get what you deserve, but grace is where you get what you don't deserve. And right now in this country, you don't see a lot of people communicating with humility and grace, but we feel like when people come together with those two elements, then we can start having better conversations in this country.
And you don't have to love sports to really enjoy this book. Stephen, any other last minute thoughts for our viewers as we get ready to read this great work?
You bet. I would just encourage everyone to say that while at the surface, this is a book about a team where the biggest moment of their season faces their biggest adversity. At its heart, it's a story about the importance and really a warning of what happens when we take our eyes off our core values, those guiding principles that are founded in our faith or our family or our team mission, to say that whenever we take our eyes off our core values, adversity, conflict, and hurt will always follow. But whenever we chase after those core values with humility and grace, no matter what obstacles or hurts are in front of us, we can find a way to get through.
And Damon, where can we find more information and make sure to pick up this book?
TheLockerRoomBook.com is where you want to go to find every resource for everywhere the book is sold. The book is sold in all the major booksellers. You'll find Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Books A Million. But TheLockerRoomBook.com has other resources there. And if people go to TheLockerRoomBook.com, sign up for the newsletter, they'll also get the update on when the Locker Room Playbook is going to come out, which is a curriculum guide that is 14 chapters, one chapter for every chapter of the book that people can follow along and use to help them implement the lessons learned in the book.
Well, thank you so much, Stephen and Damon, for joining us today. The book is The Locker Room. Highly encourage you all to read it. Great lessons, very useful for today, and I appreciate speaking with both of the authors about this book, about how it came to be, lessons learned, and much more. We'll be back on Mountain Connections right after this.